Thanks for staying with us. We heard a story about the fact that mannequins were banned by Hisbah. What's the word? In Kano State. Yes, thank you very much, Mara, for reminding me. In Kano State. I would like to hear your thoughts on this, especially because they felt it was idolatry. And that was against Islamic injunctions to sell and advertise using those mannequins. What are your thoughts on this? We try to have this conversation because we want to understand each other better. You know, we see things, we hear things from certain areas, and we feel this is different. In our own side of town, it's normal. But maybe it's time for us to have these conversations so that we can better understand each other and respect each other. Send your thoughts. You can call us on 081-270-53687. You can also call us on 091-390-76-948. You can send us some messages on YouTube and Facebook. We'll be happy to read your messages. So let me start with Nima. As I said, these kind of conversations are always great because as much as there was this uproar in social media, how can they, what is this? Well, you see, we must always bring everybody back to the center, that we are in this country, we are different, we see things differently, and we must appreciate and celebrate our differences. So could you give me a better perspective, or give us a better perspective, on why do you think mannequins would be against Islamic injunctions?
Okay, let me try and understand, because Hisbah is one police that are facing their work very well. So they are religious enforcement police, and they are facing their work very well for Kano people. But they don't generally reflect what Islam says. So in Islam, we don't allow, and not everybody enforces it because it's not a strict rule per se, pictures or statue within our houses is very close on that borderline of idolatry that we stay clear of. So in my house, for instance, you would never see my wedding picture on the walls, that of my children. Okay. And I do not enforce it in other people's houses that are Muslim. I just don't do it in my house because of my understanding of it in Islam. So there's a saying of the Prophet that, you know, when one of the divinations was coming, the angels could not come in because one of the wives of the Prophet had done a cutting with a picture of an animal or human in their house. And so because of that, for those that have deeper reflections in Islam, we don't practice it. But it's not something that you'd expect a police to go up, cane in hand, to enforce in the marketplaces. Because in Islam, again, one very core part of Islam is intention, declaring, being deliberate about your intention towards what you want to use something for. So if a person clearly wants to use mannequin to sell his market, you know, and is not in front of your worship places, you know, I don't expect a clash. I don't expect Hisbah to exert so much energy.
Yeah, so for me too, I'm not a Muslim, but I have family members who are, and I remember I just called because I'm friends who are Muslims to ask, and they said for them, they'll know that Islam and just worshiping God is about your intention. Yes, that if you were to buy it for worshiping that mannequin, that's a whole different issue. Matter, but the intention is to sell their wares. And these are changing times. The way businesses used to be done before is not done like that anymore. And Kano, especially Kano State, is like a beacon of, commercial hub in the north. Yes. Do you understand? So many people go there to do all sorts of businesses. It's supposed to be also, attracting other people from different states. So when you put these sort of laws that don't seem really thought out, it affects especially medium and small enterprises. And that's the problem. People are saying that they feel that when it comes to the laws that Hisbah are pushing, is that it goes against people of a certain socioeconomic class. It says those who are very rich and do this, they don't get them for some of these things that they chase people who do not have a lot of money for. People are just trying to sell their wares. You know exactly what the intentions of these mannequins are. The only thing I may say is that maybe there are some mannequins that may be overly
seductive.
Yes, maybe you can say tone down those ones. Do not put those ones outside and sell your wares.
Or never leave them naked. Or always wear something.
But they are mannequins. But they are mannequins. They have things on
them,
there.
wear stuff
Yeah,
on them.
but let them use them. You understand that it's for selling their market. Let them sell their market. Let them do their business. It's important for people to be engaged in business than
but they're
be sitting
also
idly.
they're metal mannequins that don't have the body features. So maybe because I always believe that when you're in Rome, you act like a Roman. If you're in a certain community and you chose to be in that community, understand the way of life. So maybe it's time for us to also come halfway. Okay, yes, the ones that have the body structures are allowed in certain areas. But in this area, they only want the wired ones. And there are some wired mannequins that just look like a metal.
Right.
You don't have the real body, the features like what we're seeing on screen. So maybe those people who are selling should begin to compromise and adjust on this based on the community they're living in.
No. You see, I think Hisbah totally, and I see it a lot of times when people are trying to enforce Islamic rules, forget how Islam was spread in the first place. So it's not what we read in the Western books. That's not how Islam was spread. It was in piecemeal, by the nature, soft-spoken nature, friendly, accommodating nature of the Prophet Islam that he won the Jews in Medina. He didn't go into Medina with a sword like was. They took the sword to defend the minority who accepted Islam, who were being persecuted. Not that, this world, the way and Hisbah must not forget that history because they are now like the custodian. They're like the mirror. Imagine that, you're educating people rather than enforcing. If in Kano, Hisbah and the activities are counterproductive, or just as long as we were reading this, I read a young man who refused to observe Salat because he was being beaten for dressing in a way that wasn't Islamic. Hisbah is not only enforcing religion, which is a matter of heart, they're also enforcing how you must look, how you must pretend to look. That's why it is a double-sided, they have double standard. In Kano, how many rich people do you find victims of this? It's young, innocent, middle-class people who are struggling to survive, whose basic needs are what they're trying to meet, that Hisbah goes around enforcing. I have a problem with the way they go around these things. So a person who has been prayed, the Rasul Sallam did not just pick a cane and start beating. They continued to preach. All the slaves, the captives that they were taken in their defense wars, were kept and they were shown the ways of the Muslim and they fell in love and chose that path. That's how the whole of Arabia was taken over. And when you forget that history, you continue to project this Usman Danfodio, Fulani, mentality, jihadis, all of these things that we read today as the real history. There are better ways of doing things.
All right, so for those people who live in these communities, I mean, somebody was telling me that when they travel to Dubai, Saudi Arabia, they are in the malls and they see mannequins all over the place. So sometimes you think to yourself that, can you be holier than the Pope? That's what they say, that when you go out in the world, we see mannequins. So do you think, I mean, and this is just us thinking on our table, that how do they come about these laws? This community, is it like the sharia court declares it, or how is it that somebody just sits in their house and say, let's see, who are we going to clamp down on today?
One person's disposition, and that's how the injustice in the world spreads. One person's bias against a minority or a group of persons, with one person with authority's bias enforced, passed down, it becomes a mentality. So just as we are screaming that, jam, and we know they don't have a right to, or these exam bodies don't have a right to tell a candidate to take off their hijab in such an exam, it's the same thing that Hisbah is doing. One person's bias against a group of people, and that's where we have a problem.
What?
In Kano, you can have people do their businesses just as you go to Dubai and you buy the gold off the hand of a mannequin, wearing the watch and this, and you go to Dubai and you see the mannequin wearing the abaya, and you say, this abaya is very fine, without looking any other thing and thinking any otherwise. That's the way it is. And Kano is the second most largest commercial city in Africa. And you have a lot of people in Kano market alone. You can get lost between the gates of Kano market alone. And you're asking people that don't display market. Just be shouting, come and buy, come and buy, come and buy.
Lots of people say
it's not practical. When we come back, we continue this conversation and get callers and hear their thoughts. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So we'd really like to hear from our callers living in Kano, especially in that Kano environs. Let's hear your thoughts on this ban by Hisbah on mannequins in stores. You can call us on 081-270-53687, 091-390-76948. You can also send us messages. We'd like to hear your thoughts. And as I said, our objective of this conversation really is to have a better understanding of each other, you know. We might condemn it from this side of town because for us it's normal. But having a better understanding that, listen, some might see that as worshiping idolatry, idols. But you've also helped us understand, Nima, that is the intention that God identifies with, not what we actually. Let me take this call from Mina. Aisha, are you there? Thanks for calling. You're live. Aisha, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Good morning.
Good morning, Aisha. You're live. Go ahead, please.
I'm a first-time caller.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Please, I want to contribute.
Yes.
The reason why they bad using it, those children in Kano, they will touch the breast, raise up the clothes. They want to see what was inside. Please, even here in Mina, that's what we are facing. They will raise the clothes, want to check what is inside. They will be comparing. They will tell you that you are wearing hijab, wearing clothes, whereby we are seeing bread on the road. So that is the reason. That is what our children are doing here in North.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So they have young
Thank you very much, Aisha.
Dressed up mannequins, and they'll be lifting up the dress to see their the shape of the underneath.
So when that happens, isn't that
a matter of education?
No, that's feedback. That's feedback saying that you need to educate and teach children. So when you see kids, because kids will be curious, they are children. So exposure, education, understanding that no matter, your child will come and touch you. Want to understand, why is your own chest bigger than my chest? And that's an opportunity to educate.
That I'm a human, hijabite. When I carry my friends' kids, even Bisola Yeolu's granddaughter had never seen me without the hijab. So when they brought her to my house and she saw me without the hijab, she cried forever. She didn't understand. I was playing the normal play, and I understood why. So when I went to their house, she saw me in the hijab, and I was carrying her, and then I took off the hijab in her presence, and I put it back on. I did like 3 times, and then she adjusted. Oh, she's the same person. It takes a while. It takes education. I have friends who their children are Christians, and whenever I visit their house, I remember G-Boy as a child, he would climb on my legs, and he would put his hand into my hijab and pull my ears, and just to be sure I'm a human. So you take it, you give people time to adjust to things. You don't just react like this.
Yes.
Now, so the children, that will not stop them from wondering what is still under if you don't educate them.
So I also understand that the culture in the North is very conservative. So conversations, I've mentioned it before, conversations around sex, around bodies, is not something that they want to do so openly. It shows as if you do not have home training. But I think it is time to start rethinking how we're raising our children. That a child shows curiosity does not mean that child is a spoiled child. Does not mean that child has not been brought up properly or something is wrong with the child. It's just normal curiosity. And when a child is informed, the child can make better decisions concerning themselves and understand themselves. That is why now we're always talking to our children. We teach them about their body parts so that they understand that this is just mine. And anyone that comes close and tries to touch it, you know, they know what to do and who to report to. So it's just okay to have this conversation. So
okay, let me take this call from Babatunde from Ikorodu. Good morning, Babatunde. Are you there?
Yeah.
You're live. Go ahead, please.
Concerning the mannequin of the thing.
Yeah.
To be honest, the last caller, she gave a very valid point about these children bending down. Even some adults do it. But there's a better way of doing things. You can't just come up and say, okay, you are totally banned this thing. I think their responsibility is to deal with those killed. I used to go around bending down and check whatever. Because I've seen some adults, even in UAE, because I've been in UAE for like 3-4 years. I saw some adults, people like from Bangladesh, India, and others. If they pass and see mannequin, maybe looking like a lady or something, I tell you, some people will touch it. They even touch the sign of a breast or bending down, looking at what is under the business. But for me, they can't just say they are totally banned or... That's the way they can do it. This man is a responsibility they can deal with no children. Instead of disturbing people's business around.
Right. So, thank you very much. I'd like to link that to even the Sharia law, because you steal the clutch of your hands. You know, this is part of these... The kind of laws we have, such that when you steal, there's no way to help to rehabilitate this person for this bad doing. There's just that.
So it's not stricto sensu.
Consequence of cutting off your hands once you
steal. On the show, as an Islamic law major myself, I know that this is a justice system, and the first result is not catch and cut. There has to be prosecution. And one of the core messages of Islam, of the Prophet Islam during the enforcement of stealing was find out whether the person is stealing out of hardship or hunger. So if the person is pushed to the wall because of any difficulty, the rule of the society is to first of all see to that difficulty than the action of that person. So if a person stole, like a woman stole to feed her children, and I saw a video of a woman who had to take a beating in our own African custom for stealing to feed her children on African Magic one time, and I was wondering why. Because in Islam, that woman has to be provided for. That's what a proper Islamic society would do. And the consequence for such a person will never be cutting off the hand. Yeah. But if it is an habitual, you're a first time, second time, third time offender, right. You're used to this method of stealing, it is then what the law provides. That's a different justice system.
Ebony, are you there? Thanks for calling.
Yeah, hello, good morning.
You're live. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, so I just want to drop a point or two. This ban of a thing, I'm just hearing it, and for me, what the point the first caller made concerning the children, I just personally think the borders on home training and exposure. Now, like the last caller said, children do it, even adults do it, and it just borders on training. Now, it's like if a child can think of going and checking under, a mannequin, put the dress or just to see what's under. What says that child is not going to do the same for a human being? A human being, just for curiosity. Because this particular point does not border on the government or the security officials or on the organization. No. This borders on home training. But going with this attack fire brigade approach is not normal. It's not right. It's like child trafficking. Children working in school, or using your children to sell while they're supposed to be in school. I remember how Lagos State government dealt with that. They started picking up these kids. Now, go to the market. If anybody is caught doing this, whether a child or an adult, hold them up for something. Let there be a penalty. People will talk to their children from home. Adults will call themselves.
Thank you very much, Ebony, for that. Yes, Fred.
The other caller was saying, that's before her, was saying something about why, even in uni, people, especially from Bangladesh, and I've noticed that too, like when I was in Zaria as well, we used to have a lot of people from Palestine, so people that come from conservative countries, there's a behavior that they have where things like this intrigues them. And they react almost differently from what normal people. So a normal person will just pass, but for them, it intrigues them. And for me, it is time to now look into the way that we're dealing with and we're teaching people about bodies, about their own bodies themselves. So I find that people that come from conservative settings, conservative upbringing, tend to don't know how to sometimes don't know how to behave themselves. When they find, nudity, when they find things like mannequins, like these pictures or videos, because you have not been taught, because you have not been exposed, and when I say exposed, I'm not saying throw these things in their face, but that you're educated on it and how to respond and how to carry yourself around it, and when you see it, how to respect it. If you're not taught all these things, when you see them on the road, you just feel, first of all, you think it's an assault to you. Somebody is trying to tempt you. Somebody is trying to, disrespect you. But if you're brought up in such a way that you're told early on and at different stages what this means and how to respect it, then you behave, in a more respectful manner. And things like how the mannequin looks will not be a problem. Right. So now, many people have said, because this was very interesting to me, I just wanted to hear what Kano people were saying, and on social media, a lot of them are saying that sometimes those that make up the Hisbah police, maybe they need a little more education and exposure, because that's where the level of education and exposure that they may have would affect what they think is important and how they carry out those things. Because with more education, with more exposure, you understand and you see different points of view. And so when it comes to this particular issue, it will occur to them that people are not doing this just to be un-Islamic. Right. People are not doing this to be idolatrous. Right. They are doing this for the business of, selling their goods.
Let me come to Nima. Where do we therefore draw the line between education, enlightenment, and staying true to the core of Islam? Because one of the things that people understand about Islam is that they try not to go too over modern because they want to retain that core, that traditional, the fact that other religions are so expressive and they've modernized into different forms. Islam tried to retain its core. So in the interest of preserving that core, is that why you think Hisbah might say, listen, we don't even want to know the exposure, we don't want that enlightenment. Let us stay as traditional as we are so that we don't lose or water down the essence of Islam. So
education doesn't take away the traditions of Islam. I don't know who practices the traditions of Islam as much as I do, as educated, as exposed as I am, especially even with what kind of work I do. And you can say I see strictly follow. There are certain areas I will never cross, and then I still live freely. And that's because Islam is a way of life. It's easy things. It's a guide to living. I think Hisbah as a police and Kano government creating Hisbah, we're looking for shortcuts to solving long-term problems. So if you have a societal problem that needs you to focus on your education system in that state, work hard and make sure that every kid on the street is in school. You can take a mannequin to class and let them see it is made of rubber. You can wear its clothes and see, and you make sure that you teach the children to respect the opposite sex and their bodies, and take a time to make sure that is part of your sex education in school. Right. Rather than just tell the market person, don't sell or don't display your wares in the most commercial way. Because the kid will come and lift up the gown. Because that kid who is in the habit of lifting up the gown, if he does not find a rubber to lift it off, it will lift it up a human being. Because you have failed to do the long-term work. And this is not a work of 10 years. Every child that you see might have that mentality in Kano. Should, because of that, make it your entire educational system plan part of your curriculum. That's what Hisbah should be focused on.
Thank you very much, Nima. I think you hit the nail on the head. Let's move on. I think we have a call. Uwa, are you there? Thanks for calling. I think we lost that call. Do you have any messages or any message before we run off? Please go ahead, Nima.
So Ronke Odiemi says, well, Adedotu Adekoju says, where is the law that permits everyone the right to live and do business in any part of the country? I mean,
Ronke Odiemi says, this is just a way to chase Southerners away from the north. Saudi Arabia, the origin of Islam, allows mannequin. A lot of big shop designers showcase their brands, and there's no law against them. This is pure hypocrisy. We need to stand against it.
We have to wrap up. Go ahead.
It says they should concentrate on fixing the economy and not the mannequin issues. That this is maybe hypocrisy. And I've heard a lot of people say that there's so many other issues in Kano State that it would be better if they focus all their energy. Yes,
there's serious drug abuse, and the response is certainly ensuring proper education for their people, and regulating certain laws that are forcing their people into depression and into drug abuse.
Okay, so I have to wrap up on this, but I think it's important for us to reiterate that we don't want Nigerians to always take the shortcut in resolving issues or understanding. Say, oh, it's because we're against this community, they're against that community. That's the shortest way to just think about it and move on. Look at the issue. Let us spread it open and say, let's learn about each other. Let's understand each other. Let us come to a consensus. And that's one of the things why we do this show. Let us hear people's views, because no matter how different it is, we must respect and understand it. So it's the easiest thing to say, that's what they want to do. They want to just chase this community. But that's the easiest thing to do and just move on. We don't want the easy way around. We want to take each issue, understand it, and the same thing we talk about restructuring. Don't just say, okay, we're just banning the... No. Let's all come to the table. Let's discuss, agree, understand you, understand me, and then we come up to a consensus. That's the only way we can move forward. So let's. I didn't like the tweet I was saying that.
Yes, I don't want to read it. Yes,
it's so Nigerian, and we have to stop that way of thinking. Exactly. That's the truth. Okay, we have to go on a break now. When we come back, our guest is in the building. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.